Imagine a world where the very brain cells of the global digital economy, the chips that power every generative AI model, every massive data center, and literally every piece of critical infrastructure are suddenly moving under the absolute control of a single, unseen player. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a story of incredibly high stakes, a systemic supply crunch, and a multi-billion-dollar masterstroke that is quietly, but fundamentally, shifting the balance of global technological power. But, to really understand how this massive disruption is rocking the semiconductor sector right now, we first have to look at the crisis that's completely paralyzing everyone else. With a crushing global chip shortage driving prices up by triple digits, we have to start with a mysterious yet absolutely vital question. Who is actually winning this crisis? Right now, traditional tech titans in Silicon Valley and Seoul are hitting a massive, impenetrable wall. The demand for generative AI is just exploding, and global memory giants like Samsung and SK Hynix are so overwhelmed chasing high-margin specialized AI products like HBM and DDR5 that their capacity for standard wafers has effectively hit zero. They've practically abandoned the foundational market, leaving this massive, glaring void in the supply chain. So the real question becomes, who is stepping into that void and quietly hijacking the physical future of AI infrastructure? Just look at this headline for a moment, from South China Morning Post. This is the news behind today's video. To beat chip crunch, Chinese firm inks memory deal bigger than its sales. The US $1.86 billion multi-year flash deal with unnamed supplier underscores how downstream companies scramble to secure capacity. With that said, let's go straight to the intro.
The algorithm buries channels that show the truth like mine every single day. The only thing that fights back is you. One like, one subscribe, turn on the bell icon. That's how the truth about China survives on YouTube. Don't let it disappear. Thank you very much.
Section 1. The Silicon Dragon's mission. Alright, let's reveal the protagonist of our story here. Bitwind Storage. Emerging from Shenzhen, China, this isn't just some simple module maker. No, this is a heavily vertically integrated powerhouse that stepped directly into the massive gap left behind by Western and South Korean manufacturers. They looked at a paralyzed global supply chain and essentially saw the ultimate opportunity to seize control. Their overarching mission is absolutely clear: to secure complete semiconductor self-reliance and build the physical foundation for the AI revolution, all while the traditional titans are out there scrambling desperately for standard wafers in a totally dry spot market. Bitwind is quietly becoming the unshakable engine of the AI boom, taking aggressive action while the rest of the industry is just paralyzed by the fear of market swings. Section 2. A $3 billion gamble. Now, take a look at these numbers from the first half of 2026. It's honestly terrifying for most of the industry. While competitors are getting absolutely crushed by a 60% spot market price surge in the first quarter and staring down the barrel of a projected 75% surge in the second quarter, Bitwind's material costs remain completely flat, 0% increase.
How on earth does a company achieve that in the middle of a global shortage? Well, they executed what they call locked volume, locked price, long-term agreements. Through sheer force of capital, they've completely decoupled their operational costs from the spot market's devastating triple-digit inflation. It's a total game changer. To fully grasp the sheer audacity of this strategy, we really have to look at the staggering numbers backing it up. This isn't just a standard procurement cycle, folks. It's a monumental bet on certainty. They secured those flat rates by locking in massive, non-cancellable agreements for enterprise-grade NAND flash, guaranteeing physical access to raw wafers during a systemic crunch. In March of 2026 alone, they executed a $1.5 billion deal and then remarkably followed it up with an astonishing $1.86 billion contract in June. That is a total locked-in capital commitment of $3.36 billion. To put that into perspective, this commitment is more than double Bitwind's entire annual revenue from the previous year. They aren't just buying chips, they are buying the absolute certainty that their huge AI hyperscaler clients will never face a single day of shortage. And this highly calculated strategy yielded an immediate, staggering payoff. In the first quarter of 2026 alone, their revenue surged by 341%. Simultaneously, net profits exploded to 3.4 times their total 2025 earnings. The mechanics of this are ruthless and highly effective. Because they secured massive quantities of raw materials at lower, rigidly locked-in rates months prior, they were perfectly positioned when the broader market prices for finished products skyrocketed. They literally just captured massive price difference profits by insulating themselves from the exact volatility that is currently dragging down the rest of the global market. The landscape left in the wake of this $3.36 billion commitment is pretty stark. Local and Western competitors are so terrified of a potential sudden market drop that they're cautiously capping their procurement deals at under $500 million. You've got Taiwanese module makers drowning in short-term debt, just attempting to keep the lights on with floating prices.
There's a really dark irony here. Traditional legacy tech giants are essentially fleeing a foundational market because they simply cannot handle the heat of competing with a fully vertically integrated, aggressively scaled strategy that absolutely refuses to blink in the face of a supply crisis. Section 3. The architecture of density. Now, a lot of external critics casually dismiss these financial moves as just a bold procurement trick, but that assumption completely ignores the profound, cutting-edge technical reality happening deep inside their cleanrooms. The number 16 is critical here. It represents the 16 layers of highly advanced die stacking technology they have successfully mastered right alongside ultra-thin die processes. They are not merely purchasing raw wafers from foundries, they are physically packaging them in-house using some of the most difficult, high-density engineering techniques available in the modern world. This intense engineering mastery allows them to create massive storage capacity and incredibly tiny footprints, which is exactly what hyperscale AI servers demand to function. They natively support 200-layer and above 3D NAND flash directly supplying high-density enterprise SSDs. But more importantly, we have to understand why this matters on a global geopolitical scale. These advanced products are engineered to be fully adapted and compatible with domestic Chinese CPUs and operating systems. In an era increasingly defined by export controls and fractured supply chains, this architectural density creates a completely closed-loop, self-sustaining technological ecosystem that is basically immune to foreign software interference or external shutdowns. Section 4. Localizing the supply chain. Because think about it. What good is securing $3.3 billion worth of raw standard wafers if a sudden foreign bottleneck prevents you from actually packaging them? To fully protect this architecture, every single link in the manufacturing chain must be localized. Enter Genba technology. They're the critical missing puzzle piece for advanced semiconductor packaging. Genba is a highly specialized firm providing the vacuum components alongside the critical cleaning and regeneration services that are absolutely essential for dry etching and vapor deposition. They are the vital organ keeping the advanced chip-making lines running day and night, brilliantly eliminating the need to rely on imported foreign packaging equipment. So Genba's total IPO target on the STAR market is nearly 1.2 billion yuan. And Bowen's subsidiary strategically placed a 20.86 million yuan stake. But the true weight of this move lies in who they are investing alongside. Big Fund 2, holding a nearly 4% pre-IPO stake, is the massive state-backed national fund. When a company aligns its capital with national funds to co-develop localized advanced packaging equipment, it completely transcends a simple financial play. It is a concrete declaration of absolute operational independence designed to bypass foreign bottlenecks entirely. Section 5. Next steps for AI. We've witnessed the aggressive financial gamble, the technical packaging mastery, and the hyper-localized supply chain. So how does this rigid fixed-price monopoly set up a roadmap to dominating the rest of the decade? Well, the strategy unfolds in 4 distinct, highly calculated steps. First, brutally exploit the systemic shortage left by traditional giants. Second, leverage that massive $3.36 billion fixed price lock-in to completely eliminate internal volatility. Third, confidently ride the AI-driven memory upcycle all the way through 2028. Just picture what 2028 looks like if this succeeds. While competitors are starved for standard materials and bleeding cash on the spot market, Bitwind will be calmly executing step 4, supplying guaranteed, stable, and completely cost-controlled infrastructure to the world's largest data centers with absolute certainty. As the digital brain of humanity increasingly shifts its physical infrastructure east, it forces a really profound realization about the balance of global technological power. The old constraints of global tech wars seem to have not weakened the ecosystem at all, but merely acted as a powerful catalyst for complete vertical self-reliance. Which forces us to ask a rather provocative question. Is this ruthless move into multi-billion-dollar fixed-price contracts the greatest strategic market play of the decade? Or is it merely the opening move for a massive, generation-defining shift? The board has definitively been reset, and the underlying infrastructure of artificial intelligence will never be the same. Make sure you subscribe to stay ahead of the curve as we continue to track these deeply mysterious and dramatic market shifts. Until the next explainer, thanks for watching and goodbye.